good anger and bad anger. Because you kind of lump in, oh, anger is bad, but no, anger can be very good. Obviously, Jesus got angry. It's be angry and do not sin. So what does that mean when you're 5? Be angry and do not sin.
We're continuing our series with national speaker and author Arlene Pellicane, and it has been so good so far. We're going to continue with the skills that help our kids as we manage this world through screen time. Arlene, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been so much fun.
It has been so good. So today we're going to continue that conversation, and we're talking about, well, some things that are hard to address, but we have to deal with, and that's anger.
Yeah, we've talked about the A+ skills, and now we hit that A+ skill of anger. Ooh, everybody's favorite. But, my co-author, Dr. Gary Chapman, he has counseled so much biblical wisdom about anger. And really one thing I hadn't thought about was just helping your children understand the difference between good anger and bad anger. Because you kind of lump in, oh, anger is bad. But no, anger can be very good. Obviously, Jesus got angry. It's be angry and do not sin. So what does that mean when you're 5? Angry and do not. But the idea is you could even ask, like, okay, is this good anger or bad anger? And even as an adult, ask yourself that. And as kids, teenagers, older kids. And the way you can tell, and there's a guide in the book that I'll share with you, is if it's good anger, then it's anger about a genuine wrongdoing, mistreatment, injustice, breaking of the laws. Like there is a righteous anger that is healthy and that's good. And so you can recognize this because if you ask, was a wrong committed? The kid can, yes, there was a wrong committed. He was supposed to do this and he didn't do it, And do you have all the facts? So that's a good anger. Now, a bad anger, and that's what we're more used to. It's anger towards a perceived wrongdoing where no wrong occurred. You took my phone away. You took away my social media. You didn't let me play the video game. You made me come to dinner instead of getting to play my video game, right? And so helping, of course to them, that's going to be a real wrongdoing, right? So you got to tell them that's not really, you eating is really not a wrongdoing. And so that's sparked by being irritated, by not getting your own way, things like that. And they're frustrated and they're anger, So asking your kids, all right, tell me, what are you angry about? I am angry because, you can just start them that way. I am angry because you won't let me play this game. That's good. I am angry because my friend was supposed to be here and they're 1 hour late. Whatever the thing is. And then helping that child understand, is this a good, justifiable anger? Or is this bad? And either way, as your process is anger, this sounds very, conversational and philosophical, but in the moment, of course, it's not going to be that way, right? When your kid is mad. And so kids are going to act out really in 2 ways. They're either going to be very verbal. I can't believe you did that. There was like that video of parents when they turned off Fortnite and the kids just cussed at their parents. What are you doing? They just verbally just lashed out at their parents. So they're going to come verbally at you, or maybe their behavior. Maybe they're going to, drop something really dramatic or slam a door or, hit something, So thinking through, okay, that could happen and I'm okay with that. And just for the parent, because we're the adult, right, to remain as calm as possible to do the thing. So it might be something like, go run around the house and get that energy out and then tell me what's wrong. Or for little kids, count to 10. For teenagers, count to 1,000. But it might be like, hey, verbally, go in the bathroom by yourself, count to 10, take a deep breath, and then come back out so I can understand you. Because when you're yelling at me, I cannot understand you. And there really is a fine line. I think at some points, just let them come at you and yell at you. There is that, just like I will be quiet and I will listen and then I'm going to respond. But there is that line of like, hey, you can disagree with me, but you can't dishonor me. Like maybe you're going to draw that line of you can't curse at me. Like once you start cursing at me, then I'm going to walk out of the room and I'm not going to listen. Or maybe it's one spouse sticking up for the other, for a father to say, you cannot talk to your mother in that disrespectful way. go to your room, come back when you can talk in a more respectful way. Because we try to tell our kids, you can disagree with us all day long. You can be angry with us all day long, but you cannot disrespect us. You can't dishonor us. You can't cuss at us. You can't call us names. Like, that's disrespectful and dishonoring, and we don't want that atmosphere. So start with those things. Is the anger good or bad? They're going to act out verbally or physically, and help them get through that, and help them be able to answer that question of, I am angry because, and then they can say why they're angry.
That's good.
That's so good, because so many times as parents, you just want to think anger is just all bad.
Yeah.
But it is healthy for them to get it out. Now, Arlene, how can us as parents, how can we be that example and that role model for our kids? Because we get frustrated sometimes too.
Right, so we have to work on these things. So I know this would not happen with you and Pastor Manny, right? Never. But it's the idea of let them, your kids, it's a weird thing, because in one way, if you're fighting, you don't want to fight in front of your kids. You kind of want to keep that behind closed doors and not for your kids to have that stress and that tension. So if you feel like your fighting is not in a good place, and it's really not like a showcase to be seen as an example, then in that way you probably do want that disagreement to happen behind closed doors. But if you're able to disagree in a way, and even when you're angry in the moment, but you know you're processing it, like you've gotten better at it, maybe through practice, then let your kids kind of observe that, hey, you forgot to pick up this child. I am angry at you because you forgot to pick up this child. I'm frustrated that I tried to prepare you as much as possible. What happened? What happened in your schedule that you forgot to pick up this child? Whatever the case is. And see your child, let your child see that interaction, that, hey, we are upset with each other. We're going to lay the facts out. We're going to be respectful. We're not going to yell or call each other names. You always do this. You're such a slob. I never can count on you. We're not going to talk like that. But we will say, I was really hurt when I was at the restaurant and you didn't show up. You were half an hour late. Like, you wouldn't do that to a client. Why would you do that to me? Like, for them to kind of know that, hey, parents argue. And they talk about it, and then they get to the place where they can work things out. That's okay for them to see. So when they get into a relationship when they're older, and they see, like, oh my word, I'm fighting with this person. What do I do? They have a little bit of a reference point for that.
Or versus bottling it up and being quiet. I know some parents would just be quiet just to pretend that nothing happened and then blow up later on. But this is great what you said. The kids see the process of that, and we learn to have self-control ourselves.
And perhaps more so when the parent is angry at the child, right? So, as I'm thinking about it, a lot of times with your spouse, it's just the two of you saying, hey, that really hurt my feelings. And if your kids see, that's fine. But it's really when you're angry with your kids, right? You've told them 10 times their grandma's coming over and their room should be clean, and it's still not clean, and you're just about to blow, right? You're just like, I'm gonna lose it. Then as a parent, to be able to learn how to, either like there's a magic word you guys have that, like, you say to your child, stop sign. Because if you do one more thing, mom's gonna lose it. Whatever it is, you guys can make up a word so your kids know what you're talking about. But a lot of times with that anger with your children, a lot of it is because you haven't given them, and this is back to Parents Rising, it's because you didn't give them the consequence at the beginning. So you've just been letting them yank you around. You're just getting pulled in all these directions instead of just saying, oh, very calmly, oh, look, your room's not clean. Guess you're not going.
That's good.
And so sometimes we need to take the anger out of it by just taking the emotion out of our voices, more sentences, not like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, but more simple statements, and kind of pretend like you're an attorney and you're just like stating the facts and then pulling out, So
really
it's us learning how to have that anger, and us asking, is this good anger or bad anger?
It's so good.
So once we kind of get a handle on our anger, the next step is to apologize, and that's the next skill. So talk to us about that and how to teach our kids to apologize.
Dr. Gary Chapman, who co-wrote this book, Screen Kids, has this wonderful story of when his kid was small, and he had a cookie, and he wanted a new cookie, but his cookie had broke, and he said to his dad, my cookie broke, I want a new cookie. It broke. And he was like, it didn't break in your hand. You broke it. That's what he's thinking. So we wanted to teach him, even at a young age, to admit, I broke this cookie. May I have another cookie? Now, it seems so small and such a nuance, but it's the idea that your children don't just say like, oh, the marker just like magically appeared on the wall. It's like, no, I did that. Right. So apology begins with helping even your young children admit they were wrong. And even with teenagers, of course, no teenager wants to admit they were wrong. And it starts with us. Like when we do something wrong, for us to come to our children and say, you know what, I really overreacted to what you just said about your homework, and I'm really sorry, and I was wrong to lash out at you. So when we admit we were wrong, and we readily do that, some people think that makes us look weak, but it's not. That makes us real. Like, we're gonna make mistakes. So don't be afraid to admit you were wrong, and then help your children, no matter what age they are. Oh no, you did something, tell me what you did. So that whole apology piece begins with accepting the responsibility that it didn't just happen.
Right.
It wasn't just this wild set of circumstances, but I'm responsible for that. And then you realize then, and there's 5 keys of apologies in the book. So the first one is accept responsibility. The second one is your actions affect others. That, hey, if you blow up and you're really cranky, that's not just about you. That's the whole family that is now stuck in this restaurant with this really cranky, irritable person. And we were all here to have fun. So your actions affect other people. The third thing is there are rules in life. And when those rules are broken, then you come back and you apologize for them. The fourth is apologies restore friendships. That you see that when things happen between friends, but when there's an apology there, that's going to restore a friendship, even with sisters, right? I have 2 girls and they'll get at each other, and if it's hard, you have to tell her you're sorry. You tell your sister you're sorry. No, and really mean it, because they'll be like, sorry, sorry. Oh, she didn't mean it. Sorry, So you have to kind of coach them, like maybe we'll try this again in 5 minutes. Like, you really mean it. Tell her you're sorry. And and for kids, it's like sorry, but it does restore the relationship. And so as they grow up, they'll become more sincere and authentic. Oh, I'm very sorry, But sorry's that helps them. And that there are, again, Dr. Chapman, we laugh, he loves the number 5. So there's also 5 languages of apology that you can say. And here it is real fast. And you could practice this as a parent. The first is expressing regret, I'm sorry. And then accepting responsibility, I was wrong. Making restitution, what can I do to make it right? Genuinely repenting, I'll try not to do that again. And requesting forgiveness, will you please forgive me? So let's say you're a parent and you've been watching this and you realize like, oh my word, I gave my 11-year-old Instagram and she's been stuck in her room for 2 hours every day ever since, and I'm gonna do something about it. Well, maybe it will begin with, honey, using these 5 languages. Honey, I'm really sorry that I gave you Instagram. I did it because I wanted to make you happy. But accepting responsibility, I was wrong to do it. Making restitution, I want to make it right. I want to see you be happy again. And I want to spend more time with you. I want to make it right. In the future, I'm going to try to make better parenting decisions for you, or genuinely repenting, and then requesting forgiveness. Will you please forgive me for giving you this too early, because I think it's not been good for you. Now, can you feel that's different than like, okay, this Instagram thing isn't working out, we're gonna take it away. Right. But if a child, you're saying, please forgive me because I've kind of been asleep at the wheel and I should have been paying more attention, will you forgive me? That's, whether your child responds well or not, that at least lays a good foundation for a conversation and modeling, this is what it's like to apologize.
I love that as a tool to be self-reflective in how we apologize. But I also thought, as a parent, this has been so equipping because I can watch my child, and what I got as I was reading that was, how many layers deep do my kids go, and what do I need to do as a parent to help them go through that full process? because that's the kind of apology I'd want them to give another individual as they grow. So it's a great tool.
Yeah,
piece
and you know what? I want to add, this is obviously something where it's like, you did something that you really have to apologize for. You don't have to go through all this if you forgot to feed the cat. You know what I'm saying? You can just say, I forgot the cat. You know, you don't have to. So you pull out the big guns for these heart,
That's good.
emotional, important moments in your child's life. And so texting is not a good way to apologize for something like this, like the whole Instagram thing that we just talked about. You don't want to text like to your child, I'm sorry, I gave you Instagram, we're gonna take it away. Like that's, no, you wanna have a conversation. But you can text, I forgot to feed the cat, sorry, can you go please feed the cat? You can do that. So there's some things that the sorry through technology works, but the heart stuff, that's always best with words and in person. And you know, kids today, they're texting to apologize. They're just, you know, unfriending someone, they're just not following someone if they want to avoid, and that's a problem. Like kids have to learn how to apologize, make restitution in real life, and technology is a barrier to that because they just avoid the other person and they never resolve it.
Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us. I love all the resources that are available. One of the things that we didn't get a chance to talk about is even what not to do in an apology. There's so much information, but we are just so thankful to you for joining us and spending this time as we grow our families stronger. And in this world regarding screens, we learn how to see it and deal with it.
Thanks so much for being with us again for our Radiant Family Moment. We look forward to seeing you again next time. And we've got some amazing resources, so don't forget to check them out.